Welcome to the Starter Girlz Podcast, your ultimate source of inspiration and empowerment. We're here to help women succeed in every area of their lives: career, money, relationships, and health and well-being, while celebrating the remarkable journeys of individuals from all walks of life who've achieved amazing things. Whether you're looking to supercharge your career, build financial independence, nurture meaningful relationships, or enhance your overall well-being, the Starter Girlz Podcast is here to guide you. Join us as we explore the journeys of those who dare to dream big and achieve greatness. I'm your host, Jennifer Loehding, and welcome to this episode. Welcome to another episode of the Starter Girlz Podcast. I'm your host, Jennifer Loehding, and wherever you are tuning in today, we are so glad to have you. So this episode is going to be fun. I just know it's going to be a lot of fun. And because we are talking about relationships, which I think are so important. All right, so let me open this up. Love is one of the most fundamental human desires, yet so many people searching for it find themselves facing deeper, more personal struggles along the way. My guest today has spent years guiding others through the journey of relationships and connection, but his path took an unexpected turn after a profound personal loss. What he discovered in the process reshaped not only his work, but his entire philosophy on what it truly means to love both ourselves and others. And so I'm so excited about this because I just think this is such an important thing. And so before we get him on here, we do want to do a quick shout out to our sponsor. This episode is brought to you by Walt Mills Productions. Need to add excitement to your YouTube videos or some expert hands for editing? Look no further. Walt Mills is the solution you've been searching for. Walt is not only your go-to guy for spicing up content, he's the force behind a thriving film production company with numerous titles in the pipeline. Always on the lookout for raw talent, Walt is eager to collaborate on film and internet productions. With a background deeply rooted in entertainment and promotion, Walt Mills leverages years of skills to give you the spotlight you deserve. Want to learn more about Walt and his work? Head on over to waltmillsproductions.net and let your content shine. All right. And with that, I do need to make one more announcement. Be sure you head on over to startergirlz.com. And I always have to say this, it's with a Z, not an S. I don't know where that S is going to take you, but make sure you get the Z. And there you can keep up with all of the episodes that are going out. If you've missed any, you can catch up. And of course, if you are a business owner, you can head on over there and take our success block quiz. It's kind of fun. It'll tell you what your number one success block is that may be hindering your success. So again, startergirlz.com with the Z. All right, let's get our guest on. I'm excited. Jonathan Aslay is one of America's leading midlife dating coaches. With over 200,000 YouTube subscribers and a reputation for helping men and women navigate the complexities of modern relationships. After the heartbreaking loss of his 19-year-old son Connor in 2018, Jonathan embarked on a deep inner journey, one that led him to an often overlooked aspect of dating and relationships: the critical role of self-worth, self-regard, and self-love. Now he is on a mission to help others cultivate these essential qualities, sharing his insights through his book, What the Heck is Self-Love Anyway? A guide filled with engaging spiritual and personal growth practices. So Jonathan, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you here today.
I'm so excited to be here. Can I get a copy of the intro you created for me? It sounded so good. I need that.
Hey, so I don't know if I shared with you. I mentioned off camera that I was in Mary Kay for many, many years. Yeah. And we always had to have these like accolades and intros. And so that is like one of my favorite parts is to take like, and I love Podmatch because y'all have all your little bios in there. Yeah. So I can craft all that up. And that is like my most favorite part is to do those intros.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go on ChatGPT and have mine redone.
Hey, ask yourself, be like, who is Jonathan Aslay? It will give you a beautiful bio. But you know what? It's so fun. I think it's so fun when somebody else speaks that into us. You know what I mean? Because we get so used to what we do that we forget like all of our greatness, right? And when somebody else kind of plays that back to us, we're like, yeah, I've done some cool stuff. That's pretty cool, you know?
See, now me, it's always I turn. Is that me?
I had another guy on here a few weeks ago that did the same thing. He was like, is that me? Oh, yeah. He was like this 81-year-old man. It was so fun to chat with him. But I still read that and he was like, you just kind of forget about those things that you do. Yeah. So anyways, I'm glad you liked it.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right. So let's talk about you and what you're doing. I want to kind of back this up. So first, I want you to tell our audience a little bit about what you do, because I love this whole thing. We talked about the self-worth, this self-regard, all of that, because I think
Yeah.
that is so important. So kind of tell us a little bit about what you're doing now.
Well, what I do is I'm a dating and relationship coach, mostly working for women in midlife. And I always say midlife is after baby making years and before retirement. So most of my audience is between 42 and 69. And why I choose to focus on that demographic, actually, for me, it started when I went through a divorce 20 years ago. I turned 40, was going through a divorce, found myself back in the dating marketplace. And I'm like, the world has changed. Now, mind you, this was 20 years ago.
Right.
The world had changed dramatically with online dating. And since then, it is catapulted. Online dating now represents 65% of all new relationships that are happening today are happening through some sort of online connection. So when I originally got started, it was to help women with improve their dating profiles, but it's morphed into, as you shared in my bio, how I've gotten into a deeper understanding of why relationships don't tend to work out, even from those early states of dating. And what I do as a coach is I help guide people to get clarity on who they are, who's compatible with them, asking the right questions to determine compatibility, but most importantly, asking those deeper questions to determine emotional maturity and relationship skills. Because here's the real challenge. Relationships tend to end, if you look across the spectrum, it's because couples don't really have good, solid emotional maturity or relationship skills. So I like to talk more about how to develop those skills so you can actually prepare yourself to be in a relationship.
Yeah, no, I love that. And you're so right. I would not agree with you more on that, because, or cannot, because that is so true. I think emotional intelligence is so important in everything we do, right? From raising kids, but in relationships, when you're with somebody every single day and you're having conversation, that is so important. And so I can't even stress that enough. And so and even talking about when you're saying those questions, because I think it's a difference of like, how do you ask like the right kinds of questions and good questions, and you develop conversation, right? And so, I could see that be important. And I do want to make a comment about the dating, because I'm kind of in that middle. I've been married for a long time, but I'm in that group that you would be talking to right now. And I can only imagine what it's like, because I see my son, my youngest one, going through those dating apps, and it's like swipe, swipe. And I'm looking at this and thinking, God, when we were dating back in the day, dating was like, I remember those things you had to call in and like leave like a message on a recording thing. You didn't have like videos and all that. Like you would just leave this thing and you'd push a button if you were interested. And then you had to set up sort of like a blind date, because you had no way to see this person. It was just like physical description, right? So you had no idea until you showed up and you're like, oh, that's who that person is now. And now they've got everything there. But it's so like they're looking at a picture, right? They're looking at the picture and you're hoping that you're like going to get somebody normal, but you don't know, right? So it's just a big, scary thing. At least to me, it feels like a big, scary thing.
Well, it's interesting because you're reminding me of what was called 976 numbers. It was 976. Like that was the prefix to how to get into these portals of all different types of things. And right around the 80s or 90s, actually, when I met my then now ex-wife, I met in 1990. But back then, the predominant place to meet people was in bars or maybe in college or maybe your workplace. Those were like three of the primary places, whether it was school, whether it was your workplace, whether it was a social environment like a bar or something like that. And then these 976 numbers came out, and it was like, and I did them a few times, and oh my God, did I get catfished on a date? I mean, and it would be a little bit unfair of me to share how much I felt I got catfished. But, the world has changed a lot since then. And understanding compatibility, but most importantly, emotional maturity, as I was saying earlier, here's the thing. Most humans think everybody else is the problem.
Right.
They rarely ever look in the mirror and go, wow, you know what? I don't have as good of relationship skills as I think I do. Wow, I don't have as good of communication skills as I think I do. Wow, you know what? I do get triggered. I do get oversensitive. I sometimes get defensive. And by the way, if you say those things, that is emotional maturity. If you can actually identify
Right.
of where you're weak. But it's interesting. Most everybody does this. They point the finger at everybody else and they don't see those three looking back at them. And what I mean
Right.
is in the area of emotional maturity, relationship skills, good communication skills, that sort of thing. And it's interesting because I coach women, Jennifer.
Mm-hmm.
Women have a propensity to believe that they are better emotional communicators than men. They think that men oftentimes are very weak emotionally. And and that's kind of the baseline that I see a lot of women operate. Now, I can tell you from my observation, women might be very good at vomiting emotions and
Right.
vomiting feelings, and I'm being a little tongue in cheek. So if I offended anyone,
You're
I
not, you're not, yeah,
apologize.
you're not offending me.
But to truly know what you're feeling, to
Mm-hmm.
actually then articulate that to someone else, which is vulnerability, can be
Right.
very scary for people. And more importantly, and this is what I see a lot of women don't do, is advocate for their needs of what do they need out of a relationship. And
Yeah.
so the minute they engage with it, there's a little bit of chemistry, a little bit of connection, a little bit of physical going on. I've observed a lot of women go silent, in relationship, and then they're wondering why, and then they're pointing the finger at men. Now,
Yeah.
by the way, men are no picnic either. So let me just say this. Most men are rather clueless,
Yeah.
and let me explain why. Men at midlife, oftentimes, roughly 75% of singles over 45 years old are divorced. And because of divorce, our normal strategy for entering in a relationship when we're in our 20s and 30s is find a spouse, make babies, raise a family. That's
Right.
the purpose. A
Okay.
lot of people in midlife don't really have that same, rooted purpose. It's about spending time together, which is great, but they're
Yeah.
not looking at it from a partnership-based perspective. And this is why now casual relationships are now outnumbering serious relationships.
Interesting. Interesting. Well, and it's interesting that you say that because I've been married for 28 years and you know what? Obviously when I got into my relationship in the beginning is very different than I feel like it is now, right? Like the priorities have shifted. Now I'm about quality time and connection and all that. Whereas in the
Yeah.
beginning, I don't even think we had time for any of that because we had kids, like, right? We
Yeah.
were spending all our time raising kids. But it's so interesting that you say that because I'm even like watching my kids and the dynamics are different, right? It's this younger generation, I think too, the dynamics are different in this relationship world, so there's so much to this. But I want to go back to when you were talking about that emotional maturity is admitting, because I think that is so important, even in business, like, right,
Yeah.
being open and saying that you have a weakness and not taking that in so personally, right? Being able to say, yeah, maybe I suck at this,
Yeah.
it took me I'm not always perfect at that, but I'm much better at that now where I can say if somebody calls me out, you know what, you're right, I suck at that. I'm not very good at that, or
Yeah.
yeah, fair enough, I did that and I probably shouldn't have done that, And so I think that really gets back to that value that you're talking about with women really placing that self-worth in yourself, that the flaw does not equal the bad person, right? Like they're two different things. You have a flaw, but that doesn't make you a bad person. You're still lovable and you have worth, right? And so I don't know if I shared with you, I read Jamie Kern Lima has a really good book out there that talks about the difference between like confidence and self-worth. And
Yeah.
funny enough, I never really thought about those being independent of one another until I read that book. And it made so much sense to me because she talks about how confidence is about attaining a skill, like you get good at something. And a lot of
Yeah.
times we think the better we get at achieving accolades or all of these things, that's going to build our confidence. And that
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily. That's why you see successful people that really are not all that confident, right?
Yeah.
And so there's a difference between how you value yourself versus the confidence you have in a skill or whatever. And so that was like a
Sure.
real eye opener for me when I read that. Never thought
Well,
of
I
it.
think coming back to identifying, if we look at the word weakness, I just want to maybe reframe it
Sure.
in an area of a
Yeah.
genuine insecurity or a lack of competence in an area.
Right.
And so when we can identify where we're weak, where we struggle, where we have doubts, where we may not feel competent, of course, we can put up the facade, I'm confident and blah, blah,
Right.
blah, which is a mask a lot of people wear. But I encourage, actually, in my own private coaching, one of the exercises I do with clients is to actually ask themselves, where do they have weaknesses? And I'll give you an example just to illustrate this. So I struggle traveling internationally. I struggle, like, in other words, first off, I'm not, I don't like the fact that, getting to the airport early and all that kind of stuff. But I do that because I'm very anal retentive about, I don't want to miss a flight. So I get anxious to begin with just because I want to get to the airport on time. But excluding that, when I've traveled abroad, I felt uncomfortable. I feel like I'm in a foreign place. I don't know where I'm at. I feel uncertainty. And I'm very aware of this. Now, do I act like a spastic kid, 5-year-old running around? No. But internally, there's a 5-year-old inside of me that feels like it's spastic because it's uncomfortable for me. So I share this because I'm in a relationship now, and I want to share how she reacted to that. But I've been very upfront in the dating process. If I connected with someone I like them, I share this. And I remember literally one woman saying to me, if that's the case, I don't even want to engage anymore.
Oh.
And because she likes to travel.
Yeah.
And I'm like, great, we are misaligned, or she didn't feel comfortable with that. I felt like it was important to share a little bit about my inner 5-year-old, my inner 6-year-old. And because I know how important that is to people. Now, fast forward, I'm in a relationship with someone, I shared that. And she goes, well, do you mind if I just plan all the trips and you be, and I'm like, my hand is raised. You plan everything. I just want to put on a blindfold. Just tell me where we're going. And are you cool with that? And she was totally fine with that. So knowing who you are isn't just about your strengths.
Right.
It's about those things that aren't perfect, particularly when it comes to romantic love.
Yeah, no, this is so good. I really think though it really transfers all over because life. I mean, it really does because I think it's just self-awareness we're really talking about here, right? Being aware of where you're good. And I love that. And you said, about the 5-year-old child because I think isn't it Tony Robbins that says we're all like 5-year-olds in grown-up bodies, we all have these fears, and I would be with you. I would be the same way with that traveling. So I don't know. You and I would never get anywhere, I think, because I'd be the same way. I'd be like, forget that. We're not traveling international, because I'm one of those, like, I love to travel, but I hate getting out of my space too. You know what I mean? Like, I hate the airport. I hate having to go through the security. I just don't like any parts of it. They need to figure out how to make that like a pampering session, and maybe my whole perception would change, So I'm with you on that. But I think the point here and the message you're making is really knowing yourself and being authentic and real, right? Like being okay with saying that, because that, values are important in a relationship. And if they are misaligned, it is very difficult to navigate those waters, and the fact that you're putting that up there and saying, hey, be clear about some of these things, really up front, because you're comfortable in yourself to do that. You cut down on that waste of time that you'd have to put in there to have to navigate that in the long run,
Well, I think if we look at what causes relationships to end, in fact, it was interesting. I remember it during my divorce, we actually went to family court. Okay. And and if anyone knows family court, what happens is they tell you to, like, they have 6 couples that get there at 8 a.m. Oh, wow. And whoever's first on the docket goes first, and the second one, third one. So I remember getting there at 8 a.m. There were 6 couples, and we happened to be couple number 4 to go in front of the judge. So I'm listening to the other couples share their experiences, and I was just thinking to myself, you know what? You could literally connect the dots from this point going backward to where the cause of the problem in their relationship. And it occurred to me that if we start thinking of like, okay, where do most relationships fail? Well, money ends up being one of the biggest issues in relationship. Okay. Physical connection is another big issue in relationship. I mean, those are the 2 primary things. Now, there are more to that, but If we have that understanding, well, then how about we enter into relationships with a more intentionality? Because if we know why relationships fail, then maybe we should address this sooner rather than later. That's what I talk about. So this weekend, my girlfriend and I, who we've been together for, I'll be candid with you, it's only been 2 months at the time of recording this, but we see each other almost every day because we live 3 miles from each other.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It's like so
How
easy.
convenient.
Oh my God, it's so perfect. She's going to come over later tonight after I record my video. But we had one of those, really important conversations about money and how money affects, a relationship and how we view money and how we value money and where we see ourselves from a monetary sense in the future. Now, some people would think 8 weeks is too early to have that conversation. I'm like, look, do you want to wait to be a year in to find out you're misaligned? Do you want to wait 6 months to find out? Like the minute two people are physically intimate, in my mind, everything is game on for conversation.
Right.
And I'll be candid with you, Jennifer, it was an uncomfortable conversation. I found myself struggling at times because I care about this person. I don't want to lose this person. I don't want to create any conflict. But at the same time, this is my truth. She had to share her truth. We had a couple times where it got a little heated, but not over the top anything.
Yeah.
But we navigated this experience, and while it still exists, we have a slight disparity on how we value money. We're still going to progress going forward. This is how grown-ups have a relationship.
Right.
Children have relationship like this. Wow, you're hot. Oh, you're hot. Let's just jump in bed and have sex. And we'll keep having sex until all of our shit comes into the surface because we're hyper-focused on the physical attraction, the chemistry, and not the genuine compatibility.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, it makes a difference. And I think to your point, I think it would really just depend on where you feel like you are in that relationship, right? Like, when you need to have those conversations. So, and I think you should, because you go back and, in hindsight, you don't want to be a year down in that. And all of a sudden you realize, this is the way I do things and this is the way you do. And then you have that heated moment and it's like, oh my gosh. And now you can't even have the conversation because you don't have communication skills either. So now it's just a hot mess, right?
Exactly.
You won't have all that. I love it. So when you're working with these clients now, are they finding you now? Or they're coming to you because you've been in this place for a while and they know who you are? And I mean, tell me how this is working out for you. Because it sounds like you've been doing this a while.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've been doing this for almost 15 years. I started off just give me a Starbucks card and I'll help evaluate your dating profile. That's kind of how I started. Then eventually I went to one of those $1 a minute type of services where I was giving advice. A lot of times it would be kind of like woman would be dating a man and she wanted some perspective about the man from a man's point of view. So I kind of always operated helping women understand men from the male point of view.
Love it.
Now I have a YouTube channel, as you shared earlier. I have over 200,000 followers, and most of my clientele comes from watching one of my YouTube videos, clicking on the link to schedule a discovery call with me. And we talk about whether or not, if they're in a relationship, I have one coaching program where they work exclusively with me. And if they're single looking for love, I have another coaching program that's all proprietary to help people to get really clear on who they are, what they want, how to vet the other person. The thing is, Jennifer, most humans don't have good skills at actually getting to know another human being. And I want to share something for your audience. So I've jokingly for the last year said dating is a process of interrogation. Okay? Yeah. Now, it gets a lot of flack because everybody knows you're not supposed to interview anyone. It's supposed to be like just having coffee at the coffee shop. I say bullcrap. Yeah. Your job is to get to the truth of another human being. That's why we date, so we can get to the truth. But if you look up I actually have got it listed here on my phone. I can't just show it.
Yeah, I see something there.
So its interrogation skills include active listening, clear questioning, emotional intelligence, building rapport, reading body language, patience and control, pattern recognition, fact-finding, adaptive strategies, understanding human behavior. Well, truthfully, when we're trying to get to know another human being, and if we do it kind of ambivalently, we can get attached to somebody who may not be right for us.
Exactly.
So being, I call it interrogation, but if you listed that, would be all good skills every human should have. Right. It's about being objective. But boy, the minute chemistry starts to sink its way in, all objectivity goes out the window.
Yeah. You know what? I like that list. I almost want to, you know what's so good about that list? Because I'm sure where you are too, there's a lot of networking. And so I go to a lot of networking events and we do a lot of these one-on-ones where we sit down and actually get to know people, right? And it's so interesting because all of these things you talk about are like things that are like very important, even in that world, right? Getting to know people, asking good questions, reading body language, all of those things. And it's so funny because I am like, I love to just study people. I like to watch people's body language. And it's so crazy because every now and then I'll get somebody that'll be like, can I talk on the phone? And Jonathan, I hate the phone. I absolutely hate the phone. If I can't do video or see you face to face, it makes me crazy because I need to be able to read your body language. I need to be able to see how you're responding to the way I'm talking to you. Because if the two don't align, if like what you're saying in the body language, you're not mashing up, I'm going to pick up on it really quickly. So I love that you're talking about all this stuff because I think it's important. And I think, yes, it helps you. You know, I always say it's like, I probably feel like, you know, so much of this that happened for me came from all the years that I was in Mary Kay when I was interviewing, but also doing podcasts because I have talked to so many people and I've asked so many questions that I feel like that's what I do is what you're talking about. I'm trying to filter. I'm trying to get to people and figure them out and who they are as individuals because I want to know if I want to put them on the show or if I want to work with them or you know what I mean? If I want them in my company. So those are all great skills. They're all great.
You know, it's interesting. Well, for you and I have a sales background as well. I used to do corporate insurance for 20 years before I landed in, and I mean, this was by accident. I landed in what I'm in. But I've also, for the last 15 years, have done personal development, self-help, spiritual work, and therapy. And why I'm bringing this up, and particularly therapy, people who have done personal development, self-help, spiritual work, therapy, are very comfortable with questions that are below the surface. You know, most surface questions, especially in dating, is how's your day going? Did you have a good day?
I hope you had a good day. I hate that question.
Yeah, I mean, but people who have done personal development, self-help, spiritual work, and therapy are actually, you know, they've built up a muscle, particularly if they've been consistent at doing it. I don't mean you did one workshop 5 years ago kind of thing. I'm talking about consistent. Where those types of people who enter into the dating process usually start to ask deeper questions. They ask questions about past relationships. What was the cause of the ending of your relationship? What could you improve upon yourself? All of these really good questions that can be asked early on. People that have done the work are unafraid of these questions. It's those folks who haven't done the work and they're not used to it. It's very uncomfortable to ask vulnerable, authentic, transparent questions with someone who hasn't done some level of introspective work.
Yeah, I could see that. And you're right. I like that you talked about developing the muscle because I've never really thought of it that way. But it's so funny because even when that question you said, how was your day? I hate that question. It's almost like I have a friend that talks about when we go network. She hates the question, what do you do? Which that one doesn't bother me as much because I can get into more conversation. I can develop from that from that on. Obviously, that's what I want to do. But she hates that question. I hate the how was your day or whatever. That to me is like.
Do you know what I do when they ask that?
What do you do?
I pause. I think about it, and then I say something like, well, I can't decide. Do you want to hear the truth or do you want to just hear the prevailing narrative that I'm just okay? Because the truth is, I'm feeling a little bit moody. It's kind of gray outside, or I had a bad phone call. That's real. Yeah. But most people, when it comes to that question, it's such a transaction to say I'm okay, instead of actually sharing what's really going on. And when you actually share what's going on internally, that's vulnerability. Vulnerability builds trust.
Right. Right.
That's the funny part about all this, particularly in dating. Most people are walking around with a facade, a mask on because they're afraid of being seen. But the truth is, we get to be seen when we're vulnerable with someone. At
Yeah.
least that's what I encourage
No, I
anyway.
agree with you. And that's exactly how I put it too. And I think because you're kind of touching on something too about being okay with talking about that, because I think people sometimes have a hard time holding space for the emotions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they can't, because they don't know how to process that emotion. So when you share that real and raw, for you, it's real raw. We are okay. So like I could say to you, I could say to somebody, I'm mad today. I'm angry today. It doesn't mean my world's falling apart. Doesn't mean I'm going to pout for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I'm mad, but I'm going to process that emotion, right? But I'm okay with talking about that, right? But the same goes if somebody says that to me, and a lot of times I do feel people's emotion, and so I have to
Yeah.
really work through that. But I'm okay saying, that is their thing. They need to process that, and being able to hold that space, right? And not want to fix the problem and not want to, like shove them and say, "Oh, it's going to be okay." Like they don't want to hear that. Obviously, they're working through it.
No,
You know?
I want to share a piggyback on a
Yeah,
story with that.
I
So
love
I
it.
was on a double date this past weekend, and during the date, with talking my girlfriend's friends, I was about to share that I'd lost a child, and I don't believe the two people that we were with knew this about
Okay.
me. So I said, look, I'm going to share something very uncomfortable. It's not uncomfortable for me, but it's going to be uncomfortable for you guys.
Yeah.
I mean, I led with it's going to be uncomfortable with you. And I just want you to know after I share it, I just want you to know I'm okay. So, like, and I could see it in their eyes. They're like, what's he going to tell me kind of thing.
Right.
And then I said, I lost a child. Now, for many people, the minute they hear that,
Right.
it can be emotionally overwhelming. First off, if you have children, we internalize that internally, like, oh my God, I can't imagine, and all that kind of stuff. Then they feel this obligation to say something to comfort me. And I'm
Right.
like, yep, by the way, it's been 6.5 years since my son passed away. But in this, so I'm totally, I mean, I've grown substantially since that experience.
Yeah.
But I knew this would be uncomfortable for them. It was funny because I'm sharing an uncomfortable thing about me and I had to manage their
Yeah, to
emotion.
manage their emotion. Yes.
But by doing it in advance, because I knew that would come up, it ended up being a very light conversation. I just shared what needed to be shared and then we moved on.
Oh, good, good. Well, and you made that space for them to do that because, yeah, you're right. I
Exactly.
mean, yeah, I had a
And
guy
most
come up.
people don't, most humans are not good at holding space for
Right.
someone else's emotions because we're not good at even doing it for ourselves. So it makes it
Yes.
even doubly harder trying to do it for another person. So these are the kind of conversations that I think are important to have, particularly before you get in the dating marketplace. Because let me tell you something, dating is not for the faint of heart. I
Yeah.
mean, let me reframe that. Relationships aren't for the faint of heart.
Right. Right.
Uh, Dating is the Hunger Games first. That's what dating is. Um,
Yeah, I get scared every time I think I'm bailing out. I think about that and I go, oh, maybe I don't want to go down that path.
now,
Only imagine you get back. I would be like this, Jonathan. I'd be like, we got the checklist. Like before I walk in, I'd be like, all the questions. If you pass one, we get to the next one. Okay, we're done. Never mind. Next.
yeah.
'Cause that would be me. I'd be like, we got to go through all the 500 questions, and they'd all be like deep. Not that. What? How was your day? We're gonna be past all that.
I had a
So,
client who led with sex. She told me, she goes, this is what I did. She goes, look, right up front on a first date, she'd say, hey, look, I just want you to know I'm totally into sex. I'm totally up for sex. And I'm attracted to you. You're attracted to me. But here's the thing, you have to pass my test
ah,
before I have sex. So she did this with 5 guys. The first 4 guys failed all the questions.
oh my goodness.
Now, when she said failed the questions, they were hesitant, they were blocking, she asked all the deep questions.
Okay.
And she got to her now boyfriend. He was the 5th guy.
Yeah.
First off, he was emotionally mature, did therapy, and like she got into deep questions, and they slept together, not the first date or the second date, but
Right.
pretty early on. And they've been attached to the hip for, I think, 6 to 8 months now.
Oh my gosh, she got it figured out. See, she has
But
those
she
questions.
said, look, I'll give you sex, but you got to pass my test first.
I love it. You got to pass the test. That's so good. Well, and because it gets back to that, if you go sit down with somebody and your depth over here, you've got these questions that are of depth, right? And you're over here with surface level. it's not a bad thing. It's just these are two different types of thinking people, right? And it's going to be hard to have those conversations that you're trying to have if we're over here doing the how was your day and you're over here tell me something what you learned today, and you're really getting into something profound and they're still stuck on what'd you do today, so yes, I can totally see it, but I think that's a great story. So I'm glad they're still together. It's great. It's great. I love it. So I love all this, Jonathan. I think it's great. I think it's important. I love that you found your calling, and I think it's so fun to see what you were doing before, and now you're into something completely in another realm. But it was all really sparked by your personal journey. So I think that it's neat when you're able to find that passion and that calling, even if it has to come from pain or some other source. But you get into that space that you need to be in. So sounds like
I am very blessed. I'm fascinated with philosophy, psychology, human behavior, spirituality. I mean, that's the vortex I live in, particularly human behavior. And my hope is just to offer just some perspective where maybe you go, oh, maybe I should be a little more intentional instead of reactionary when I do this thing called dating, mating, and relating, and be a little bit more objective and be a little bit more curious. And my hope is, and I get a lot of accolades for it, I make a difference in people's lives. And that's what turns me on is every day I get another email. You made a difference in my life. And that's what brings me joy. Yeah,
no, that's awesome. And that's what it's really about at the end of the day, right? You can help somebody else see. And perspective. I like the word that you said, curious, be having curiosity, because I think sometimes we get so set in our patterns, a way of thinking, that we're not open to others. And I think you have to have that mindset. I always believe if something's not working, you've got to fix it, right? And so if you realize you have a pattern of behavior, if you're doing something and it's not working, then you can at least look at that and say, how can I show up differently? Whether you're in a relationship now or you need Jonathan because you're in that dating scene. I do want to ask you I got a couple questions I want to ask you, but I do want to kind of ask you, maybe for somebody navigating those dating apps right now, like what would be like maybe, and it's something you would like, maybe some advice you would give them for navigating those things. We've talked about getting questions and all of that stuff, but anything that they should be looking for or doing? Because I have no idea anything about those.
So roughly 97% of profiles I look at that are women and men, so equally both genders, or those two genders, I should say, 97 profiles look like crap. The photographs are poor quality. The effort they put in writing their essay is poor. So the first thing I'd say is put together a stellar representation of yourself. Get some quality photographs taken. Put together a stellar representation, because whether you like it or not, you're marketing yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. Put that in a box. If women tend to get swiped on substantially more than men. So if you're a woman and you're getting lots of hits, well, then I would narrow it down geographically and only focus on those people that live a few miles from you, because it's easier to navigate, even though, and I know women who have 500 or 1,000, messages in their inbox.
Oh my goodness.
Because men are more apt to swipe right, which means interested, like at a rate of like 5 times the amount that women do. Wow. So that would be the first thing I do. Just narrow down your search, narrow down based on similar interest, because, it's easier to put a square peg with a square peg than a square peg in a round hole. So find those commonalities and just communicate in that, conversational way we talked about earlier, and see where your common ground is, and then see if it makes sense to meet to do the sniff test. And the sniff test is simply, like two dogs coming up to each other. They smell each other and like, do you like me? Do I like you? Do you like me? I like you. Like, you go through that. And then if you want to explore something, then be radically honest with one another. That's my invitation for everybody.
Oh, I love that you said get the profile together. No catfish, no fake photos, but get the profile right, because it is important. If you're putting a crappy photo on there, you're going to be drawing attention to those kind of people. That's what you're going to get. Can't expect differently, right?
Exactly.
I love
garbage
it.
in, garbage out. That. What's that?
I said I didn't even think about that, honestly. I didn't even think about it. See, because I'm not in there, so I don't know. But that is a good point, because it's like everything you do. Your profile picture matters.
Yeah.
That's good. Jonathan, it's been awesome. I got a couple fun questions I wanted to ask you. These are going to be kind of maybe a little thought provoking. You might like it. I want to know, What's one belief that you feel like has shaped your success?
I don't know if it's a belief, but it's a mantra. Um, so I went through a period of time where I was struggling financially. And I remember the quote from Walt Disney. He said, just keep moving forward. And there was something about that just literally, I mean, to this day, it still rings in my head. Just keep moving forward. In other words, it doesn't mean you can't be standing, like try not to go backward and try not to
Yeah.
stand. So at least make effort every day. And I feel like that's played a huge role in my successes. I just do my best to keep moving forward. And it's not move forward 100 miles,
Right.
it's just one step, but just each day take a step towards, my passion and my purpose in life.
I love that. I love that. Best piece of advice you ever got? Anything that ring come to you?
Just keep moving forward.
Just keep moving forward. It's great. No, I love it. I love it. Hey,
You
if it
know,
works, it works.
it's funny. There's a joke. There's this movie I watch with my children, and I'm going to get flack for sharing this, but it's funny because there's a scene where this one actor is handing a credit card to a woman, and he grabs it from her and then hands it to the man instead of the woman. He goes, "Never give your credit card to a woman." So I told that to my children at age 6 as a joke,
Yeah.
And I always and they always, if someone asks them, "What's the best advice your father gave?" Never give a woman your credit card. Now, that's not the advice I give to everyone else.
Right. Yeah.
I think the advice I invite everybody, and I wanted to share that little humorous story, is that I believe that our number one emotional health wound for most everybody is I'm not good enough, I'm not lovable, I'm not likable.
Sure.
I think deep down we have a little 5-year-old inside of us that feels a little less than. And when I wrote my book, What the Heck is Self-Love Anyway? It's really an invitation to go, okay, I've got this little 6-year-old, 5-year-old inside of me that's scared. What can I do to nurture that child? And I believe through personal development, self-help, spiritual work, and therapy, those modalities actually brings us more joy and peace. So my advice to everyone is just invest, whether it's 15 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day, an hour a day to your self-improvement. And I promise you, a year from now, you are going to feel 1,000 times better. Or I'll just say 5 times better.
Yeah. I agree with you. I would agree with you on that too. I know it's made a difference in my world. So,
Yeah.
All right, last fun question I want to ask you. This is just kind of a fun one. What's the one thing you do every morning?
Well, I play this word game.
Ah, it's great. What's the name of it? Is it Wordle?
It's called Wordscape.
Okay.
I think that, well, I do the first quiz of every morning. It's like the thing I do. I
Yeah.
rarely ever miss. So that's one thing. I mean, I
Yeah.
typically journal. I usually journal about 4 or 5 to 6 times a week.
Okay.
I spend the first half hour of the morning just processing things, sipping my coffee, and I just kind of process what's coming up for me. And journaling to me is like, have you ever had an amazing dream, Jennifer, where you wake up in the morning and go, I want to remember this, so you write it down?
Right. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and if you actually went back and read what you wrote down a month later, you could literally vividly remember the dream.
Mm-hmm.
And journaling is the same thing because we have these thoughts, these feelings sometimes that need some processing. And when we write it down, it's visceral. I mean, I use my thumbs when I do it,
Yeah.
because I do it with my phone. But it's a self-reflective exercise, and I do that most every morning.
Love it. I love it. No, I think journaling is great. I think it is good to do it. And it allows you to self-reflect, right? It allows
Yeah.
you to go inward and process. So I love this, Jonathan. It's been great. You're awesome. I love what you're doing. If our audience, somebody listening today may say, you know what, I need to call that Jonathan. I'm out there in that dating market right now and I need some help or whatever. Maybe they want to get your book, follow your YouTube. Where would you like us to send them?
Well, first off, you can send them. I mean, there's my name, Jonathan Aslay, listed there, so they can cut and paste that, put in Google.
Yep.
If you want to go to my website, you can hit the button to learn about coaching. I highly recommend everyone check out my YouTube channel, so you can send them to my YouTube channel. I mean, I produce 5 videos a week on the channel.
Awesome.
I mean, I do a live stream 4 times a week, so
You
this
are
is a way
busy.
even to connect with me live. So, and then there's the books I recommend, all that kind of stuff listed.
Awesome. I guess you never run out of things to talk about in the dating world. There's always a lot of stuff to talk about.
Sadly, that is true.
Yeah, that's great, Jonathan. Yes, and yes, you are not hard to find. I just wanted you to say it in case somebody's listening to this and not
Got it,
reading the
got
notes
it.
or whatever. But yes, and we'll make sure to when the show notes out, we'll get everything in there so they know how to find you as well. It's been great. I've enjoyed it. Thanks for all the conversation. It was a fun conversation. I know we could probably talk about this forever. But
I
think
know.
it's an important topic. So thank you for all your wisdom. It's been awesome.
Thank you, Jennifer. It's been an honor.
Absolutely. Of course, to our audience, we appreciate you. We hope you found this episode both inspiring and informative. Go follow Jonathan, check out his YouTube, all the good things. But on our end, you know what to do. So hit all the buttons, the like, subscribe, comment, share, whatever you need to do so we can keep sharing all this fabulous content. And as I always say, in order to live the extraordinary, you must start, and every start begins with a decision. You guys take care, be safe, be kind to one another, and we will see you next time.